I know to some people this might seem a bit morbid, but like recording the funeral, but they've told us that I'm allowed to do it. The funeral directors have said, as family members can attend with the coronavirus, and it's something what me Nan Iris would have wanted as well, because she always envisioned, like we used to talk about it, and she used to kick off sometimes about it by saying you'd have a massive funeral and all these Facebook and YouTube fans and that, and she was getting with that, so she was out with the moan about that. But with all the carry on of the coronavirus and that, this is the only thing we can do. So I know I'll get hate on these videos, because I always do when I do something a bit controversial, but this is what me Nana would have wanted, so.
Things seem to be changing every day. May come a time when we're not even allowed to conduct the service, but thankfully you've all complied with the guidelines, which gives us this opportunity to be here today to pay our respects to Iris and to use this short ceremony as a means to allow her to leave this world knowing she was loved. Now Iris, as you all know, is 92, still living in her own home with no carers going in. She was an amazing woman, and she was still sharp as a button. But just recently she ended up in hospital with a water infection, and while she was in there, Iris had a fall, and well, that really knocked her confidence. Even so, she still returned home the next day, and her daughter Val was going in 3 times a day to care for her. But it was obvious to you all that her condition was getting worse. She wasn't eating, and she was getting weaker and weaker. And in the end, Val slept at her mother's. She could see how frail she was, and the night before Iris passed away, Iris's great-grandson Paul also stayed. Now Val told me she felt a strong draft the night before Iris passed away. And we strongly believe that that was a sign. And the next day, Iris, she quietly passed away with Val and Paul by her side. And really, despite her age, that's just how quickly everything's happened. And that's why we find ourselves here today, paying our respects to Iris and, well, ensuring that we give her the best send-off that we can during these difficult times. And I'd like to say a big thanks to our daughter Val for all of her help in preparing this tribute for our mum. And I would just like to give you an overview of Iris's life. Born on the 29th of April 1927 to her parents, Robert and May Stacey. Brought up in the East End of Sunderland alongside her 4 brothers, Robert, William, Fred and Richie, and her sister Millie. Iris said her family didn't have much, but she still had fond memories of growing up. Go with her friends to Bradbury funeral directors, watch them making the coffins, climb in the windows and hide in them. And as a young girl, she went to Jimmy Willie's school. But school was disrupted when the Second World War started, when Iris was 12 years old. These obviously were tough times. And because of the great industrial centres of the time, the Tees and the Wee, well, the North East was a constant victim of the German bombing raids. Iris used to recall the air raid siren sounding at the top of Burley Garth and running with her brothers and sisters to the shelter. But one time, they forgot their little brother Richie and had to go back for it. And despite being such a young girl, Iris said she had the responsibility of going around houses to remind the people to turn the lights out for the blackout. The war was still ongoing when she left school, and she had numerous jobs. But her main jobs were working on a farm and at Bryan Mills, where she would work until she retired. Iris also went on to meet and marry James Spencer, settled down in Norman Street in Hendon, and went on to have their only daughter, Valerie. James went off to serve his country in the Royal Navy, and he was an incredibly fit lad. He was the Navy boxing champion for his weight, and that's how it was such a shock when James died in a tragic accident when he fell from the submarine that he was serving on, only 23 years old. And this left Iris to bring up a 5-year-old daughter on her own. No social security in those days, and Iris, she still had to work. And while she was working, her mother would look after Val. Iris was a great mother. She took good care of Val, loved spending time in Blackpool and Scarborough. She enjoyed going to Seaburn and Roker. And when Val became a mother herself and the 6 grandchildren came along, Iris enjoyed taking them all to learn them how to play on the one-armed bandits. Iris loved the bandits, even into her 90s. And she loved going to bingo, and she always said she was leaving out for you lot. After the bridges was built, she'd go there nearly every day, where she would meet her Facebook fans and get home by tea time to watch the soaps. And as well as her grandchildren, also had 9 great-grandchildren and 1 great-great-grandchild. She also went on to be an internet superstar when her granddaughter Iris started making videos of her, and then together with great-grandson Paul, they set up the Facebook page Little Nana Iris, and it went viral. It was, I watched them, it was hilarious. And you can still see how sharp she was. And she literally had thousands of followers. And really, you know, that's one of the main reasons why it's been very difficult to cope with the loss of her. Funerals, you know, are naturally sad, but they're also special occasions. Sad obviously because we're here to say a final farewell, Iris, but special. It's special firstly because you chose to come here today. You chose to come here today in such difficult times. So I'd ask you all to remember today as a special day, where we said a fond farewell to an absolute legend. We're never going to forget Iris. We'll always remember her incredible zest for life. And on that note, let us now proceed from this place in comfort and in peace, assured that even in this time of loss and sorrow, life still remains precious and good. And let's honour the life of Iris by living ourselves more nobly and loving in the days ahead. And as you return to the routine of your lives, go in love, and may an abiding peace be with you. We've now come to time now of service where we prepare to say our final goodbyes to Iris. Today's service hasn't been based around religion, but it was thought that we should have some form of religious content. So could you please say the Lord's Prayer with me? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. We now recognise that Iris will be part of this quiet, beautiful place for all time. She's here with her grandson Paul, who she brought up. It's what she wanted, to be here under the wide open sky, and we commit her body to the bosom of our earth, which sustains all life. And we dedicate this simple place, this natural place, to the good and precious memories of her. Her time here on earth is now done. All the noise and the clamour, the joy and the pain, the powerful life force that drove her onwards has slipped away into the quiet of eternity, and she is at peace. From now on, she will dance through your memories, threading thoughts of love through your heart. The pain of loss will gradually ease and the sadness will lift. The days will be lighter and the nights not so long, for she is still here. When you walk through this place, you will feel, with the breeze on your face, in the sunlight dappling the grassy floor, in the murmur of the branches high above you, she's all around. She's returned to the place from whence she came, to the elements that created her. The earth that gave her the life she so loved has now welcomed her back to be at one with all of her beauty. Here, she has found her resting place. She has come home. In infinite wisdom and love, Mother Nature has received unto herself the innocent spirit of this woman. Earth to earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. So with love, we remember Iris's life and all that you shared together. Let us go quietly now, because where there is love, there is always life. Iris, may you rest in peace. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.